My name is Commissioner Frank Avila. I'm the commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And the title of our show is Chicago Grow Green Week 2019. And as my guest, I have Ryan Anderson, and he's the chief person in Chicago Grow Green Week 2019, and he knows everything about how to grow your garden or your lawn green, which is very important nowadays. Glad to be on our show, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Ryan, when I say Chicago Grow Green Week, could you explain to the audience what that is?
Yeah, so Chicago Grows Green Week is 7 days packed with at least 5 organic gardening and natural lawn care demonstration events. So we're going to start on Saturday, or kick off on Saturday, June 1st at Riverdale Park District's pesticide-free Riverdale Park.
Okay.
And we're going to demonstrate the natural lawn care approach in at least 3 interactive and educational games. And then we're going to end the week on Saturday, June 8th at Dig Right In Landscaping's warehouse in Westchester, Illinois, where we're going to celebrate all the sustainable landscaping progress that has happened across Chicago, and also we're going to preview all the upcoming sustainable landscaping work in 2019. And in between those days, we're going to have a number of workshops, webinars, volunteer opportunities, all centered around and promoting our theme, which is growing pesticide-free lawns and gardens for the long term.
And that's excellent. And do you know why it's so important? Every spring, people that own a home or other facilities that have lawns, they want to remove the weeds and have their lawn green. And what do? They put synthetic herbicides on their lawn.
Yep.
For a product like Roundup they'll put. And have you been reading in the paper what's going on with Roundup?
Yeah.
People are suing the company that makes Roundup because they're getting cancer. And they had 2 lawsuits of people that won the case, and they got like around $280 million because they said they got cancer by using that chemical, glyphosate.
Yeah.
So it's important now for people out there that want to keep their lawn green is how to stay healthy also, Ryan. So, and you got kids, you got dogs, yourself. You have to stay healthy, and this is why it's so important. And I would think that everyone should go to your workshops starting June 1st to June 8th. Now, can you elaborate on Chicago Grow Green Week theme of growing pesticide-free lawn and garden for the long term? Very important. Very important.
Yeah, our focus for this week is long-term planning for natural lawn care and the actual implementation of that natural lawn care plan. So, you know, I've heard, for lack of a better word, horror stories where we have these park districts, these school districts, and these municipalities who pass these pesticide elimination policies, and then they don't follow through with the implementation.
Yeah.
And so predictably, the fields that they manage, they become degraded and they become overrun with weeds and stuff like that. And then what these park districts and these school districts do is they point to that field and they say, hey, organic lawn care, natural lawn care doesn't work because it's becoming degraded. What they're really saying is pesticide elimination by neglect doesn't work for these grounds. We have a natural lawn care approach that we advocate for that is scientifically proven. We've proved it with a lot of different park districts. It just requires some initial investment in time, training, and resources. And if you follow those initial investment, then you will have a successful natural lawn care, organic lawn care program. And so that's what we're going to cover throughout Chicago Grows Green Week is that initial investment and that planning that's necessary.
You know, Ryan, you're right. Like us, we have a lot of land, and we also give a lot of grants out to different schools. And one of the things that we mention is that, look, we're giving you a playground, but you have to maintain it. And the key is maintaining it. If you don't maintain that playground, what we put in with native plants, swales. We bring in our compost, and if you don't maintain it, it's not going to last long. So the key, what Ryan said, is that you cannot say that pesticide-free lawns doesn't work. It does work, but you got to maintain it. See, that's the key. And then you're going to spend more money and getting sick by buying pesticides that are bad for your health. You know, in the long run, you're spending more money and health-wise also, Ryan. There. And so, Ryan, can you provide examples of communities in Greater Chicago that have taken a leadership role in pesticides reduction for the long term?
Yeah, one community I'm really interested or really excited to feature during Chicago Grows Green Week is the Park Ridge Niles School District 64. We're going to feature them during our building capacity webinar, which
Park
is going
Ridge,
to be on Monday, June 3rd at noon. So Park Ridge, that's District 64. It's located in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and they're one of the first examples we have of a school district breaking away from its contract of a conventional lawn care service provider. In this case, we're talking about True Green, and then deciding to manage all their properties in-house and, most importantly, pesticide-free.
So who took care of their lawns before?
True Green.
Green,
So it's a conventional lawn care provider of that 4-step, 5-step synthetic herbicide, synthetic fertilizer applications. And most school districts across Chicago, Greater Chicago, contract with conventional lawn care providers. And so because those 4-step, 5-step programs are such, they offer them at such a cheap price, and those prices often don't fluctuate. So we developed this partnership with Go Green Park Ridge, who did an excellent job of engaging their school district on this issue of natural lawn care. And so a couple things that we did is we submitted recommendations a couple times to the school district about how they can amend their current contract with True Green. We organized a couple of meetings with their staff to talk about natural lawn care, the equipment that's needed, the training that's needed to implement it. And then we also finally understood that the ultimate decisions come from the school board, right? They're making all these decisions for it. So we attended many of those school board meetings talking about natural lawn care and adopting a formal plan and program. And so late last year, we were so excited that the school board, they passed a plan that invested in new staff as well as in new equipment so that District 64 can follow our natural lawn care program for them. They broke their contract with True Green, and now they're going to manage all their spaces with no pesticides and no synthetic fertilizers. So we're really excited to feature that during our webinar, which is going to be on June 3rd, and it's building capacity.
I think now, is that the only school district that are trying to go pesticide free?
It's one of the few examples that we have because, you know, when you look at some of these, as I said, most of them do contract with these conventional landscapers, which offer these services at very, very cheap prices.
I see.
So it doesn't account for the externalities or anything like that. And it's just a product-based approach, and we're promoting that process-based approach.
I see. Can you, has the cost gone up for these communities then that transition to natural lawn care? Because there's a must be a cost involved at the beginning.
Yeah. In the short term, yes, for natural lawn care, costs often do go up. But that's why we're stressing the long term through Chicago Grows Green Week. You know, as I said before, I can guarantee you that the cost for your conventional 4-step or 5-step synthetic pesticide and weed control program, that's going to be the same year after year, right? But for natural lawn care, however, they're making their decisions off data points. And our first step is that soil test, which tells you how many nutrients that you need. So that soil test in the first couple of years might say you need more organic fertilizers or compost. But over time, you are caring for this soil and you're establishing this diverse microbiology. And then you're also reducing soil compaction so that air, nutrients, and water can move in and out of the soil profile more easily. So in the future, in the long term, you're using less, you're reducing your fertilizer use or even eliminating your fertilizer use, and it's the same for pesticides. And what does that mean? That means you're cutting your costs over time.
I see. So the soil that you're working with is, after a couple of years, it's good soil. You got worms in your soil. So, and also, the problem I see is that training your maintenance people. I think that's the key. So how do you train the maintenance people?
Yeah, well, what we've been doing is we have been doing quarterly sessions. It's called our Midwest Grows Green Lawn and Land Forum, and it's promoting peer-to-peer learning of best practices for natural lawn care, practices, policies, and strategies. We're going to be having a webinar actually coming up next Friday. It's going to be the benefits of natural lawn care. We're bringing in 3 different experts for natural lawn care, talking about for 15 minutes or so about what they do in terms of adding compost tea, feeding that soil microbiology. And then we're going to have a robust 30-minute question and answer session. And we take recordings of those webinars, we take notes, detailed notes, and we put it on our website and the Illinois Sports Turf Managers Association's website, free for everyone. So that's our main way of how we train. And in November of this year, hopefully in November of this year, we are going to come up with a comprehensive toolkit that is going to really show people not so much it's not going to go so much into the technical details of how to apply the natural lawn care. It's going to show actual examples of the people applying these concepts of aeration, overseeding, mowing higher, changing your mowing patterns. And you're going to see how these people have applied these practices with success here in the Midwest to reduce their overall synthetic pesticide and fertilizer use.
Interesting. And by converting to a natural lawn care, as you're explaining what you're doing, is that you're also promoting healthy living. You're promoting healthy living for your kids, especially for a baby or kids that are 1, 2 years old. They get closer to the grass more so than an adult because they're crawling along the grass there, and if you're not using any pesticides, synthetic herbicides, then they're staying more healthy.
Yeah. No risk with when you don't use any of those
No
pesticides.
risk, yes. Excellent. Now, why do you stress the process of mowing high, aerating, and overseeding over the alternate products?
Yeah, so this goes around to where I like to compare grass that has been conventionally managed for many years to a drug addict. So if you think about it, grass has developed this dependency to these synthetic pesticides and synthetic fertilizers being applied 4 to 5 times per each year.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you, do you know of a drug on the market right now that is a silver bullet solution to breaking a drug addiction?
I don't think any. I haven't heard of any.
No, right? Because there isn't any that could help you, because we're talking about, a really deep biological dependency on this drug. And you need intense rehabilitation to wean yourself off of those drugs, right? It's the same case for our grass, right? It's developed this biological dependency on these chemicals, on these synthetic chemicals. And so, there isn't really a organic or a natural product on the market right now that could mimic that synthetic product, just like there isn't something on the market that can mimic that drug.
Sure.
Right? So that's why we stress those processes, but because there is rehabilitation for your grass, and the rehabilitation is our natural lawn care process-based approach that we encourage and advocate for a lot at Midwest Grows Green.
And that's why you suggest keep the grass a little higher.
Yeah, mow high. 3 inches.
3 inches.
Aerate at least if it's really compacted. If it has a lot of foot traffic, you want to aerate it at least once in the spring and once in the fall.
Okay, aerated, yes.
And then you want to follow that up with either an overseed or an organic fertilization, or apply some compost.
Yes. And also you're saving money if you have a landscaper come along. He doesn't have to come along that once a week, maybe every 2 weeks.
Yeah, or maybe never. It depends. I mean, we do have some great natural lawn care companies out in Chicago that we like to promote as well.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to do all that work yourself,
Sure, yeah.
look towards those natural lawn care providers who provide their services with no synthetic pesticides or synthetic fertilizer.
Now, how about the leaves? What I've been doing now, in the fall, when the leaves come down, I let the leaves stay there.
Yeah.
See, and that decomposes there, and that helps the soil also.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things that you can do. You can put it first in a compost pile.
You're right. That's right,
let it degrade in that compost pile, and then it'll be really good for the spring back then. And then the second thing is you can leave it on the lawn. I would say pick up some of it because you don't want to have too much leaf litter, and then just run over a mower so that you can break them up into small clippings. And that's a really great source of nitrogen and phosphorus and everything that you need for your grass.
What I do, I put around my plants or my bushes. I keep it all there.
Yeah.
And I'm finding out that it helps the soil. And I'm finding out that I have more insects coming around. Helps the soil also.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things, it's nature, right? If you go out in nature, it doesn't need, if you go out to the forest, it doesn't need a fertilizer or anything like that. It has that leaf litter, it has everything already in the ecosystem. You're not losing that ecosystem if you keep everything in there. So that's one thing that we always say: recycle your grass clippings, mow over your leaf litter, and just continue to add some organic matter to it.
Now, Ryan, what factor causes most weed, pests, and disease problems?
So I would say in urban areas, we're talking about soil compaction.
Soil compaction?
Yeah, so if you think, no one really likes to feel enclosed or trapped, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same situation for our turf's roots, as well as the microbiology that benefits our turf. They essentially don't grow very well in that compaction. Meanwhile, if you think of taproot plants like dandelions, the weeds that we don't like, they actually do pretty well in that situation because it doesn't take much space for them to establish. So they deal well with compaction and stress. And so if you reduce that compaction by doing a core aeration, which is taking out these holes about 3 to 6 inches deep of dirt and leaving it on the lawn, that allows more room for your turf's roots to spread.
Yeah.
And it also allows open space for air, nutrients, and water to move in and out of that soil profile. So that creates a soil environment that is very conducive to that soil microbiology that we like to talk about a lot, because that microbiology cycles nutrients, it breaks down organic matter, and it does a number of other ecosystem services for your turf grass.
Now, you mentioned that if a person that has a lawn that needs help in improving his lawn, you have companies that know what to do, because most of the landscapers, all they know is how to cut the grass. They don't have the education or the knowledge on how to maintain the lawn for a pest-free type of lawn. So you have companies that know how to do this there, in case people won't want to know, and they can find this on your website?
Yep, in our resources we have Midwest Natural Lawn Care Companies.
Oh, excellent, and that's on your website. So you hear that now? You go to Ryan's
MidwestGrowsGreen.org
and get all this information that Ryan is talking. Because what you want to do now, we're spring and springtime, and it looks like we're going to have warm weather now. People want to take care of their lawn and put plants on, and he's going to provide you information on how to keep your kids healthy, your dogs healthy, yourself healthy, and your lawn healthy at the lowest price cost. Because if you get sick, you're going to spend money on doctors.
Yeah.
And it may take time for you to develop the disease over 5 years, maybe, sometimes. There. As the case of this fellow I was reading, he won a case of $200 million from using Roundup.
Yeah.
I mean, and the second case, another fellow won another case. I forgot how many millions he won, but that's another case. And there's a lot of cases coming up, and there's a lot of articles and research done of synthetic herbicides there. And so I think the way you're going is to save money.
Yep.
And in the long run, and stay healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why we're going back to that long term. Yep.
Oh yeah, the long term, because the short term, it may take time, Rich, a year. We're talking about a year maybe, Rich, and you're gonna live a longer time with less diseases. Now, Ryan, what about alternate to glyphosate or Roundup? That's a chemical they use in Roundup.
Yeah, and obviously this is a big topic. You said
Oh, it's a big topic now.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is reading about it. They're banning it in Europe. Some of your farmers are complaining, and you know the problem that's happening now. If the US EPA, if they ban glyphosate, the problem that we're going to be facing, that they're going to come up with another chemical that might be more dangerous than glyphosate.
Yeah.
That's the problem we have, right? So what? And that's why, Ryan, you're going to explain the alternate.
Yeah.
For the glyphosate and what's going to be coming once they ban glyphosate.
Yeah. So there are herbicidal soaps, oils, vinegar products out there on the market that non-selectively control for these plants. That's what glyphosate does. It kills your grass. It also kills pretty much any plant.
Yeah, it
out
kills
there.
everything. Yeah.
And so there are natural, eco-friendly products available, and we have a catalog on our website, MidwestGrowsGreen.org. But I would also say, for those open spaces that you have, why not just plant some native plants? When have you ever seen a dandelion on a prairie? In a native prairie. You don't, because dandelions excel in these highly stressed areas that lawns are, highly disturbed areas with that mowing, everything like that. So I would first stick to those native plants, and then the second thing I would say is that weed that you say is weed, is that really weed? That dandelion or that clover. Both of those weeds actually add tremendous benefit to the ecosystem.
Sure.
And so they for pollinator health, for example, for nutrient cycling and everything like that.
Well, that's good. So it's everything is on your website.
Yep.
That's and you say you also have webinars for people to watch to also to learn, because the key is learning, and the key is knowing what are the alternates to use and how to maintain it, and everything they could learn will be on your website.
Yep.
Now, do you have any workshops where they could go in person besides webinars?
This year for Chicago Grows Green Week, we have our demonstrations.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we
excellent.
we have.
You hear that? Go.
So definitely attend those. We have at least 5 different demonstrations in natural lawn care and organic garden.
And you're going to cover from the south side to the west.
To the west side, to the north side.
Now, the one in Park Ridge, are you going to have one in Park Ridge too?
That's going to be a webinar.
Webinar.
That's going to be a webinar on Monday, June 3rd.
That's interesting in Park Ridge.
Yeah.
That's that suburb up northwest, right next to Chicago.
Yeah.
That the whole school, I think all the school district should go take a look at what Park Ridge is doing.
Absolutely, and that's why we wanted to feature them on that.
Oh yes,
webinar.
and all the school districts throughout the state should be following Park Ridge Bear, because of what they're doing. They're protecting the health and welfare of the kids.
Yeah.
And they have a good board then. If the board selected to go natural lawn care, I commend the board members up there for understanding how to protect the kids.
Yeah.
On the health side, I mean. Now, Ryan, what would you recommend for the individuals that want to eliminate pesticides for their lawn or synthetic herbicides for their lawn?
Yeah, so the key to eliminating any pest or any weed is to build a dense, deeply rooted turf system.
Dense,
deeply rooted turf system. Anyone will tell you that.
Yeah.
And so what I would suggest is if you're thinking about managing your lawn, think about adding to that turf system right,
Yeah.
of compost, organic fertilizers, seed, as opposed to eliminating a weed, which could subtract from that ecosystem or could actually harm it by using a synthetic product. So yeah, that would be my main suggestion, is to focus on building that turf system that will ultimately outcompete other weeds.
I see now on compost, is there a certain type of compost that one could buy or one could start doing it in their backyard?
Well, I think the MWRD has some, but
Yes, we have some.
yeah, you know, a lot of landscaping companies, they offer compost, and compost is becoming more readily available from different park districts and from different areas. And if you want to learn more about sourcing, there's an Illinois Food Scrap Coalition,
Illinois Food,
which does a really good job of trying to let people know where your sources of compost come.
Yes,
and you can also buy it at hardware stores.
Yeah, that's the Illinois
Food Scrap Coalition.
Scrap Coalition. I met them yesterday at the VA hospital. They had a little event there, and they had their booth there, and they represent different groups that that does composting.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
And I'm a part of their market development.
Okay, and that's the Illinois
Food Scrap
Food
Coalition.
Scrap Coalition for compost. Yeah, I was talking
Food
with
scrap.
a young lady there.
Yeah.
And now, Ryan, what Chicago Grow Green Week event are you most excited for? You say it's going to be June 1st to June 8th.
Yeah.
Going to have everything for a person to learn on what to do for their lawn.
I like to say June 8th because that means my work is done. But, but in all reality, we are on June 8th, we are going to be selling a really cool, really new, kind of relatively new product called Compost Tea. It's going to be brewed by Dig Right In Landscaping, Inc., where we're having the event, our Chicago Grows Green Week celebration.
Yeah.
And 100% of those compost tea sales are going to go to our Midwest Grows Green initiatives in 2019. Compost tea is this incredible product that provides nutrients to the plants readily. At the same time, though, it maintains that compost disease suppression qualities. So it's really kind of cool in that way. And so we're going to teach people a little bit more about compost tea, and at the same time we're going to be having other companies that are going to be out there. So please visit Chicago Grows Green Week and MidwestGrowsGreen.org.
It went fast.
Yeah.
I will